The anger that Femi felt graduated to bitterness and irritation. He despised Ronke. He couldn't accept the fact that Ronke, a naive girl he brought from the village to Lagos. In a small village at the outskirts of Osun State, where life is simple, lived a man, Oluwafemi, who everybody calls Femi. A humble, gentle young man who believes in his hard work. Femi has a girlfriend named Ronke. Ronke, a beautiful, naive girl, is also hardworking, just like Femi. Femi loved Ronke as much as he loved himself, that he could give up his last savings just for her. One day, Femi got a contract to supervise a government building project. A contract that fetched him millions of naira, so he had to travel to Lagos for the job, promising Ronke of returning to take her with him very soon. Ronke, out of love and trust, waited for him. 3 years later, Femi returned to marry Ronke properly and take her with him back to the city. Their wedding was loud and extravagant. Ronke became the center of attraction all over the village, that even people who laughed at her for waiting for Femi, those people who told her that Femi is not coming back, those who said, "You will wait and get old while Femi marries another woman wherever he is," envied her. After their marriage ceremony, Femi took Ronke back with him to Lagos. Ronke, a naive girl who hasn't been to Lagos before, found it hard to adjust to the bustling city of Lagos. She would sometimes feel like going back to her village, as according to her, Lagos is too busy and too fast for her lifestyle. But she kept going, and with time and love from Femi, her husband, she began to adjust. Femi pampered Ronke. He would always get her gifts while returning from work every day. Give her a weekly allowance that would be enough to last her for 2 weeks. He loved Ronke enough to do anything for her. And Ronke, who enjoyed the pampering and soft life her husband gave her, soon became tired. She wanted to do something so as to support. So one night, as they sat on the living room sofa, watching Femi's favorite program and laughing together, Ronke brought up the idea to Femi. She said, "Okomi, there is something I want to talk to you about." Femi nodded, looked at her face briefly before looking back to the program showing on the television. "I want to walk," she said briefly. Femi, shocked, looked at her and busted out laughing. He laughed so hard that Ronke at a point thought he was running mad. After some time, he stopped, looked at her face, and on saying that she wasn't laughing with him, he asked, "Are you serious?" And Ronke nodded. Femi's face changed and he said calmly, "Ronke, I don't want you to walk. Anything you need, tell me, I will provide." "I know you will provide. You always do. But I want to walk to support," Ronke said. But Femi dismissed her, saying, "Just sit at home and enjoy my money. I don't want you to walk." Ronke, though not happy, decided to obey her husband. But as the days went by, Ronke became more bored and tired of staying at home. She decided to talk to her husband about it one more time, but Femi refused, begging her to relax and enjoy his money. It got to a point that he started threatening her not to raise the topic again. Ronke, who wanted to walk and prove her husband wrong, decided to start something without her husband's knowledge. She saved every extra penny given to her by Femi, and within the space of 6 months, she opened a restaurant at a very busy street where she sells amala and rice. Not wanting to raise her husband's suspicion, she had to employ someone to manage the place. The news spread like wildfire all over the street about a new restaurant in town. Everybody is rushing to buy amala or rice from the restaurant as they loved the foods that were served there. One special plate became a household name as everybody already knows about the restaurant. One rainy evening, Femi came home from work carrying a fancy nylon of food, smiling. Ronke, ìyàwó mi, I got you a special food from a special place, he said, giving the nylon to Ronke, who smiled on seeing it was a food from her restaurant. Thank you, Okomi, she said. I know you will like it. I got it at that new restaurant. They make the best amala, just like you, he said, smiling. Ronke smiled, feeling a bit bad for hiding something that huge from Femi. And whenever Femi talks about the restaurant, Ronke feels guilty. One morning, while Femi relaxed on a sofa in his living room, Ronke walked up to him. Kneeling, she said, Femi, Okomi, I have something to tell you. Femi asked her to sit and talk to him. You know that restaurant, Ron Special Plate? She asked. Yes. Do you want to buy food from there? Femi asked. Ronke swallowed hard, closed her eyes and said, I own the restaurant. Femi looked at her from her head to toe and laughed so hard. He suddenly stopped, looked at Ronke's eyes and asked, What did you just say? Ronke told him to get ready as she would be taking him to the restaurant. Femi, seeing how serious she was, decided to follow her. When they got to the restaurant, Femi was short of words. He couldn't believe it. His naive wife, is this successful? At that point, he felt his ego crushed. He became angry. He left the restaurant in anger. Ronke went after him, but he drove away before she could meet up with him. That night, Femi slept in a separate room, not wanting to talk to Ronke. The following morning, she prepared his favorite meal to apologize to him, but Femi ignored her. This dragged on for months, and soon the anger that Femi felt graduated to bitterness and irritation. He despised Ronke. He couldn't accept the fact that Ronke, a naive girl he brought from the village to Lagos, owned a restaurant. He hated the fact that Ronke earns. He wanted her to depend on him for everything. He feared that one day she would disrespect him because she now makes money. Seeing how desperate Ronke was to get his forgiveness, he decided to forgive her on one condition. You have to transfer the ownership of that restaurant to me, he said one night, when Ronke, as usual, asked for his forgiveness. When Ronke refused, he threatened to send her out of his house since she is now rich. Femi, a once loving man, suddenly changed into a bitter man. One day, a Sunday afternoon, Femi came home with another girl, hugging and smooshing, grinning from ear to ear. Is this what it has resulted to? You now cheat on me even in my presence? Femi, how have I offended you? Ronke said with a teary eyes, but Femi ignored her and continued with the girl he came with. This continued for years, and 5 years in marriage, and Ronke haven't even miscarried a pregnancy before. How is that even possible when they live like roommates? One day, Femi returned home earlier than usual, looking pale and sick, coughing and feeling weak. Ronke, who was already used to living like roommates in the same house with Femi, was surprised to see Femi home earlier than usual. She couldn't help but notice how white he looked. She secretly contacted the family doctor, who came and took some blood sample for some tests. When the results came out, the doctor sat them down. Calm, he explained that Femi had tested positive for HIV and hepatitis B, a co-infection, meaning both viruses were present in his body. Femi sat quietly, his head lowered, the weight of the diagnosis pressing down on him like a heavy shadow. He looked up, his eyes met with Ronke's, who sat quietly, her expression unreadable, and at that moment, he saw a strong woman, an intentional woman, a woman who is only trying to stand beside him and not over him. And that was the same woman he betrayed her trust. That was the same woman he hated for no reason. He felt a hot tear dropped down from his eyes, not for the diagnosis, but for the heart that loves him dearly and unconditionally, which he shattered for his own selfish satisfaction. Femi knelt down weakly, holding Ronke's leg. He cried out loud, Not knowing where to start, he apologized, not to be taken back, but to heal. Femi packed his bag and returned to the village, not wanting to be a burden to Ronke. Ronke, on the other hand, decided to forgive Femi, but not willing to go down for him. She employed a caregiver who took care of Femi at the village, and Femi lived with guilt and regret all the days of his life. Thank you for watching this story. Please tell me what you think about this story under the comment section. Do you think Ronke did the right thing by not accepting Femi back as her husband, and by maybe together they might have looked for the treatment for the hepatitis B and maybe something to control the HIV? Or do you think she did the right thing by allowing him to go to the village and not willing to go down for him? Please tell me what you think at the comment section. And please guys, do not forget to like, comment, and most importantly guys, please subscribe. It is free. Thank you and remain blessed.